Good morning, everyone. Afternoon or evening, depending on the time zone you are currently in. And thank you for joining us today at this online event. Welcome. And my name is Kristina. I'm a strategic director at Duamentes. We're so delighted to have you all here at Duamentes. We are dedicated to supporting startups across 15 diverse industries, fostering their business growth with business expansion and driving innovative product development, not just within a single region, but across an impressive 35 countries. Within other various topics like IE, fintech, and e-commerce, we're in, diversity is incredibly important to us. We generally care about it and we put in our hearts into it. We invite you to join our community and LinkedIn page you can see in the chat now. Your opinions and active participation are crucial, and today is the perfect opportunity to engage. Feel free to drop your questions in the webinar chat, and we'll address some of them in our discussion today, with the rest covered later. Don't worry if you miss anything. This video is recorded and we will be available online and on our LinkedIn page. Today's topic is exploring role model influence in female entrepreneurship and other related topics, including social background, impact, and fake equality. Here's the context for all participants. In November this year, we as Duamentes released a global entrepreneurial quality study in support of Aurora Tech Awards, featuring insights from over 200 female entrepreneurs across 40 countries. I'm so sorry. I'm going to be back with you just a second. Sorry, I got a flu. I'm sorry. I was recently with the flu and it influences my speaking abilities. I'm sorry. So back to our webinar. The study has garnered attention in world media, such as Bloomberg and Business Insider, Startups Magazine, and many more, underscoring the significance of role models for female entrepreneurs throughout their journey. We received broad and positive feedback from founders, venture builders, and corporations across different regions. This has prompted us to consider continuing this valuable conversation. And here we are today, grateful to have all of you sharing this topic with us. Thank you for your participation. Today, you're honored to have some incredible lady speakers joining our conversation, greeting us from different corners of the world, and extend our warm welcome to each of you. To kick off our discussion, I'd love for you to take a moment to ask our speakers to introduce themselves and share the name of one role model you currently inspires you. So I would like to ask all the participants to introduce themselves as well in the chat, and please highlight the names of your role models. We want to know these incredible names and leaders. So let's start with Katharina, and we'll just then continue with Amina and Anna Maria. So Katharina, to you.
Thanks very much. Hi, everybody. I'm feeling very honored to be here today. Thanks for inviting me to participate on the panel. So I'm Katharina Wile. I'm head of international sales at AXO. We're an international software and IT services consultancy. I'm originally from Germany, but I've lived and worked from South Africa over the last 20 years, so I really consider myself a local here by now. I'm probably not an entrepreneur in the way that some of my fellow panelists here are, but kickstarting a business locally whilst working for overseas companies that are trying to penetrate the African continent does really require an entrepreneurial mindset. What do? I drive strategic business growth internationally for our business. I build relationships and lead teams on global digital projects that aim to build software for a better world. And in terms of my role models, I think I could definitely list, my parents, and on top of that, a lady called Lavina Rao. She is a senior policy AI advisor for the European Union on artificial intelligence, and she has been my mentor and I think a fantastic role model, leading a family herself and managing, her life in all facets. So that's me.
Perfect, Katarina. Thank you so much. Amina, could you please follow up and introduce yourself as well and your role model that you currently have?
Hello, everybody. Thank you for this invitation. I'm Amina Oultache. After 10 years in professional world as an employee, I have created my own company in Algeria, Creadev, which assists educational institutions in their digitalization process. And I start my entrepreneurial journey at 2020. I never really have in my close circle a role model. My mother was the teacher and my father an accountant, but I really interested with the entrepreneurial. So my role model is Bill Gates, Kiyosaki, and Elon Musk. So thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Anna Maria, could you please follow up with your introduction?
Yes, hi to everyone. Such a great pleasure to be here and also with the incredible ladies. Myself, I'm Albanian originally. I live in Switzerland. I work in investment. So right now I'm working for a family office and we focus a lot in tech investments generally, but also medtech and the health tech space, let's say. We invest from seed to Series A, around 1 to 5 million. And because of this type of work, I work with a lot of entrepreneurs, of course, and I see a lot of different challenges that they have. Previously, I used to work for the Swiss government and for the United Nations, always in this tech space, in the space of working with startups and different communities. Myself, in terms of role model, definitely I would agree with the ladies before. Parents are always a top role model, and uncles and aunties and people very close to you in the family, or sometimes a cousin that goes abroad and makes it big. But at the same time, a lot of people in my professional life who have helped me, I would say, and people who have inspired me in my career. So one lady I would like to point out, her name is Aristea Kyriakati. You can check her out. She's very interesting, very inspiring. She works for the IEC, which is a standards making organization, and she runs a huge youth engagement program. And that, I would say, it's something very inspiring and what I would like to kind of give back to the community like she does. Thank you.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much. Actually, if you do have their pages like in LinkedIn or website, and if you really love to have a shout out to your fellow role models, feel free to share that in the chat. And I think it would be quite beneficial to our participants today. They can follow or check them on Google, etc. So if it's all right with you, even if it's not a public figure, please do that. And Elina, could you please introduce yourself and the role model that you had or currently have at the moment?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm Elina. I'm CEO and co-founder of Essence. And at Essence, we're building an AI-powered and science-based digital tool that helps companies to create inclusive work environments and support women to optimize their schedules, meetings, tasks, fitness routine, diet to a different phase of a menstrual cycle. So we really are passionate about destigmatizing menstrual health, especially in the workplace. And I'm also a former global program director at Women in Tech, where I helped to build communities and create programs across 93 countries for thousands of women. And I've met so many great and empowering figures throughout this journey. So it's really hard to choose few of them, but I maybe mention Caroline Winnett, who is a executive director for Berkeley's Creadev Accelerator, and she's a very powerful woman who sets the kind of mindset of so she kick off their program, acceleration program. It's Creadev with a phrase that we're not here to be good, we're not here to be great, we're here to be the best. So she sets the bar really high. And also Yumi Moroki, who's a global who's president and founder of Women in Tech, and she created the whole community from scratch just out of a passion of helping women and gathering them together so they can overcome difficulties in building career in STEM. So I think those two women are very incredible.
Yeah, they sound like a real deal, like really fantastic and very influential figures. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Elina. And we also have Anum. Please introduce yourself and share your role models, the ones you had before or the current ones that you are inspired by.
Thank you so much, Kristina. Hello, everyone. I'm Anum Kamran, and I am from Pakistan. Basically, a tech entrepreneur focusing on the e-commerce side. I am a community builder, and because I love e-commerce and connecting people, I build marketplaces. I've been running a B2C marketplace to empower micro SMEs in Pakistan, and from this year onwards, I'm working on a B2B marketplace to empower women entrepreneurs across the globe. Other than that, I've been working with a lot of incubation centers and accelerator programs, local and international, like Health Prize Dubai Chamber of Digital Commerce as a mentor and startup consultant. While we talk about role models, I think parents are obviously there. My father especially, he failed 8 businesses, and this actually helped me to learn what not to do. So he was there as a role model. And for the e-commerce journey, I think none other than Alibaba, Jack Ma, and Amazon's Jeff Bezos are my role models when it comes to e-commerce journey. And for female role model, I think every single female who is striving, who is trying to pushing out the boundaries and doing something great in her career, being as an employee or being as an entrepreneur, is my role model. But if I need to name one lady, I think Sheryl Sandberg, who was serving as a COO at Meta, and she's the founder of Lean In organization. She helped me to learn how to build communities. So yeah, that's about me.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. No, thank you, everybody. So before we start and discuss the impact of the role models exactly, let's quickly touch on family and social support for female entrepreneurs' journey, as you mentioned some of your female figures before. Our recent study found out that those with family business backgrounds offer more support, while those without exhibit high optimism and self-confidence. What is the role of the social background and family experience in entrepreneurship here? I'd like Amina to start here and share her experience. Do you see the feedback on this topic from females at your community?
Yes, so I think if we don't have the support of our families, it's really difficult to enjoy the entrepreneurial journey, because it's really hard. Sometimes we need to work all sometimes 50 hours in the day when we have child and when we have families, and her support, it's really, really important. Without this, we can't continue and we can't achieve our goals.
I so agree with you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Do you see the feedback on this topic from females at your community in South Africa, Katharina?
Yes, I do. I've heard from many women in the community how, initially they were inspired, for example, by their mothers on their entrepreneurial journeys, who worked hard to, support the families and things like that. So I do think that makes a big difference in the community here. And I think there's something very special to be said about the resilience of the women community here in South Africa. From my experience as a result of that. I think there's many hardships here in South Africa and on the continent in general. And I think that can in return provide opportunities to come up with innovative solutions to these sorts of challenges. And I think that's also often where, there is an opportunity and it gets seized, and then having the hardworking mindset, in order to just succeed, I think really helps. I think, the other thing that I notice here in the community quite a lot is that one can really feel the support and the curiosity when you enter the women's community here. So often you'll have mentorship that is offered, and you can really feel the warmth in terms of the reception that you get. We try to leverage each other, and our businesses to get ahead rather than compete. And so I really think this definitely resonates here in South Africa as well.
Yeah, perfect. I absolutely agree with you because, in a sense, in the business sense as well, we always come from somewhere and we sometimes have this understanding of the work ethic or how to run a business or how not to run a business from our relatives, from the previous generations, can be even the aunties, it can be uncles, it can be even grandparents sometimes if this is what they have experienced in. So, let's jump to the role models impact. Who is the role model for female entrepreneurs today? You can see it on the slide now. Our study reveals that 71% have identified that they have a male role model that inspires them, whereas only 57% of the participants indicate a female role model. Respondents emphasized leaders such as Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, and Jeff Bezos, as some of our speakers today, as exceptional examples of male role models. These leaders were lauded for their ability to build resilient teams and unite people around a shared vision. 37% indicated that they have both male and female role models. We got a question from our participants in the chat, I believe. So before I read it, we encourage you all to write down your question there and we'll address it either today or later in the community. So the question is, does this study show the perception of role models? Yes, it does. The study shows that males are mostly perceived as innovators, game changers, inspiring leaders. They are recognized for their fearless approach and are marked by confidence and a willingness to take risks. So let's ask our speakers. Elina, what is your perception of male role models?
I think it works. Like whatever works for people, it's great. But when it comes to the programs that we organize at Women in Tech, for example, like mentoring program or role models, in many cases, women ask specifically for a female mentor or role model because they relate more to their career path that women have in their daily lives and so on. And research also proves that, and over 80% of all caregivers, formal and informal, are women. And women conduct and spend as much as 50% more time providing to their families and taking care of children or other family members. So it's really there is a huge imbalance when it comes to social roles in the society from professional and like family perspectives. So we see that once like public figures like Elon Musk might be very inspirational, but they're not very practical. So it's really hard to follow their career paths when you are like a founder of a small startup or a small company or somewhere in the world. So, and we believe that it's great to have this kind of inspiration and motivation, but women with a similar experience can provide you with like really practical or actionable steps and both tactical and strategical plans for future career growth. So I think women relate more when it comes to practice.
I agree with you actually. And indeed, our studies show that female role models are viewed as stereotype fighters, hard workers, and barrier breakers. Well, quite fitting. And there are a lot of aspirational female leaders who demonstrate that success as entrepreneur does not require sacrificing one's personal life. By showcasing these examples, I think women are empowered to play influential roles in the tech industry, fostering both positive change and contributing to more inclusive and diverse environments. So, do you agree with that, Anna Maria?
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. And with what Alina said, like totally on point. I mean, that's exactly it. And I think in the beginning of my career, I didn't think about this too much, like following female or male role models or didn't really think of that. Just said, oh, these people are successful, I want to be like them, let me try to do what they're doing. But then the more I have been in working environment, let's say, and I spent 10 years in the UN, and I really went to a lot of different countries and innovation ecosystems, and I really saw so many different things. And I was so shocked sometimes when there was a woman, for example, minister or CEO, and one especially, I remember she said, I have 4 children and 3 are triplets. And I said, what? I was shocked, how can you do that? Like, already having 4 children is so difficult, and having 3 at the same time, and being the top woman that she was, it really impressed me. So that I could relate more to, right? So then I started thinking, okay, let me focus a little bit more to follow people that I want to be like. So like Elina said, Elon Musk, great, but probably that's not who I want to be like, or people that are maybe closer to me, so a little bit more achievable, if you like, and then going step by step like that. I see it a little bit like when I'm looking for jobs. In the past, I reach out to people that are doing the dream job that I want to do maybe in 10 years or 15 years, and then they say, yeah, you should do this and that, and those things are so far from me. But sometimes when I reach out to someone that is maybe 3 steps higher than me or 4 steps higher than me, then I feel a little bit more confident, because they give me those implementable kind of actions. So I would say, following what Elina said, inspirational versus implementable, definitely I think implementable is the way to go. So I would definitely agree to kind of look a little bit more in where you are, your community, and then try to find those women in this case that are going to help you. And also, I've been to so many recently conferences, women only conferences, and in the beginning I thought like, oh, this is not cool, and why are we doing that? But it's so fantastic, and I get so energized from it, and I really feel like, yes, I can do it, I can be like everyone else. So I think definitely we should spend time in this as well, and not just go to the events, which is for everyone. And this is a strong community we have, so we should definitely nurture it more.
I actually couldn't agree more. So agree with you, because usually female-led events, and specifically if the whole speakers are female, it is so inspiring, and the vibe is such difference, and it's so nurturing in a sense that it brings out the best ideas between the participants and the speakers. And yes, some people actually can't have the start like Elon Musk, but at the same time, not everybody has the same amount of resources from the very start, or the support of the family like he did. Well, we all know his biography. So staying on topic of different backgrounds and females, Katharina, I would like to ask you and your perception as being a mom, and I think your experience is crucial here as well.
Thanks. Yeah. So for the context of the rest of the group, I have a 2.5-year-old, and she keeps me on my toes. But it has been an incredibly eye-opening journey, having become a mom, whilst having ambitious career. And so I think one of the key things that I can add here is, firstly, I couldn't agree more with Anna Maria. The role models that have similar context to me are the ones that I look up to the most. How are they doing that? How are they getting all of that into one day, and I know when you have a small kid, sometimes you really have sleepless nights. You don't know how you're going to get through your day in the morning. After the 3rd coffee, you still feel like you need matches just to keep your eyes open. But somehow you do it. And I think that is a tribute to how unbelievably resilient we are as women, and how adaptable we are. And I think the other thing that I can say to this is what is very important in this context is governance and also societal support in this regard, because if we have our male counterparts understanding these realities and how this impacts us in our careers because of the biological realities that we face as women, I mean, if you choose to breastfeed, you have a little infant dependent on you 24/7 every 2 hours. So that interferes with your meetings. So I think if we have a male counterpart that can understand this within our community, and I think they spread the word and they support us in these ways, then this certainly becomes easier. And I think in other ways, I mentioned governance as well. If there is sort of I think parental leave that enables our male counterparts also to be able to take on some of the responsibilities that they can share with us, that alleviates some of the pressure that we feel, due to our biological realities. So I hope that's valuable.
It is. Thank you so much. Actually, I believe it was Hillary Clinton, one of the recent books that she has published was It Takes a Village, about bringing up the child, and actually how many people it takes to actually create a human being, and for him, for her, for them to actually enter the society. So engaging other people, other moms, other female and male participants of the community is so crucial. And also we cannot underestimate the help of allies, and I'm very glad that we have those figures, but we could probably use a bit more of them and more
Yes,
honestly.
I think so. But I mean, one last point that I think also really helped me, which I forgot to mention, is being able to share this amongst the female community, to be able to say, hey, you know what, I'm not feeling like I'm 100% on top of things. And then finding out that the rest of the women who are, founders like yourself, CEOs of companies, chief executives, that are also struggling with self-doubt and imposter syndrome and all of these things, makes you feel like, okay, well, I'm still achieving. You can see she's doing it. Maybe it just feels this way to me, because most of the time we are actually, performing at a much higher level than we give ourselves credit for.
These words cannot be true, honestly. Yes, we really have quite a different perception of what we do and what we achieve daily, honestly, than a lot of other people, and especially our male counterparts. Okay, so moving on a little bit, let's talk now about global and local role models. Interestingly, that female role models are not always big personalities or celebrities. Family members, teachers, like-minded entrepreneurs can be role models too, as our speakers mentioned earlier today. They can inspire the community by setting an example and sharing the same closer to the ground experience. These communities also play roles of support and mentorship, which is crucial in the early stages of business development. Respondents from the study highlighted local role models like Barbara Mutabazi and Jiba Jallo, underscoring their influence in the communities. These figures not only empower women with their example, but also serve as inspiration for others pursuing careers and fostering global connections. I mean, I do agree with that, with the impact of the local role models in our life and our careers.
Yes, I totally agree with that. Local role models, male or female, are much important. The same. Me, for example, what really helped me to embrace my role as female entrepreneur is to participate in the competition named مشروعي, so my project in English, who specially organized for women entrepreneur, and he have a startup in early stage, and this competition take us as a laureate to have a year of incubation with coaches, with business angels, with lots of people who help us to really take our project from idea to the real to the real life. So we start to our project by small steps, and after this incubation, I have clients. I have really business model, a real business model, efficace, qui help me really help people and the education organization to digitalize her establishment.
It is so true indeed. Thank you so much for that. Okay, so additionally, study reveals that most female entrepreneurs prefer local role models over global ones. According to 67% of respondents, having a role model from one's region or community, or even from the family inside, is considered important when starting business. Do you agree with that, Katarina?
Yes, I would say so. I think, like I mentioned, for me, definitely somebody that has a similar context, or at least some sort of a similar background, have been the mentors that have inspired me most and that have also helped me along my way. I think in younger years, I really grew up in a family where I was very much encouraged to dare, I think, and told that I could achieve anything that a male counterpart could. So I think that also set me on the right trajectory, although that also brought with some very hard realities when I became a mother that I was not as aware of, that I then had to kind of wrap my mind around myself. I see Anna Maria smiling. I gather maybe you also have this understanding. So early on in my career, really the encouragement and support I got was to feel the fear and do it anyway, right? And that was predominantly from my family and also fellow professionals that were perhaps a bit more seasoned than me. And that really also gave me the courage to try and step out of the box of norms. Yeah, so I think that certainly resonates with me.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Anne-Marie, would you like to jump on this topic as well? Because I just saw you actively listening, so maybe you would like to add something up here.
No, I think I don't have any children, but I work very closely with one entrepreneur. That's why who has a very, very young baby, just 6 months old. And she, in the beginning, when she discovered that she was pregnant, she had a little bit of a meltdown on, oh my God, I just started my business and now I got this news and what am I going to do? And she really even thought about facing the choice, to keep the child or not, which is a choice I think a lot of people think about but don't probably speak up enough about. And now, of course, she has the baby and she has the business still going, and it's doing quite good, as much as good you can do in the first 3 to 5 years of your business. And I'm so happy, that more people are speaking up about this, because yes, indeed, you can see through her, let's say, I leave a little bit of these difficulties that she has with the motherhood and the business and everything, but at the same time, all the joys that comes with it as well. And also that you can do everything, just like Katerina said. And yes, sometimes maybe you cannot also go out to that reception and then go on holiday and then take that girls trip, and maybe you have to give up some things, but we do give up things all the time in life. We prioritize all the time. So just because it looks like the business made you give up this or that, no, that's just what you want to do now. And sometimes we leave our families, etc., and move for a job far away, and it doesn't mean that we are sacrificing. That's exactly our priority. Or sometimes when you're young, you're always trying to make friends and go out, and then sometimes you grow older and you see less people, and it doesn't mean you're less friendly, just prioritizing. So I totally get where you're coming from, and I think it's so important to speak up about this. Because her story, I find it so interesting, and I always try to engage her in the different communities for others who think, oh, this is so hard, I cannot have everything, I cannot be married, have a happy marriage with my husband, have a child, be a successful entrepreneur. I cannot have all of that. And there is so many women who have it, and you can have it too. So definitely, if that's what you want, then you make it your priority and you have it. Of course, it's easier said than done on this webinar, but I think Katerina is showing the way for us.
I think this is so good. That I think this is definitely something that we don't talk about enough. And I always take any opportunity to try and encourage other women to speak about it, because it is really a true identity crisis when you first become a mother, when you've been professionally engaged for a period of time. I think that kind of completely takes you to the point biologically where you consider giving up your entire career. And I've never been that person. And I think when that happened to me, that scared me, and then you find your way back. And I think it's an incredible journey, and I do really think that many women really share that, and it should be spoken about much, much more. And the last thing I want to add to this is just that one thing I always tell myself when I have to make sacrifices or travel for 2 weeks at a time and leave my 2-year-old with my husband, is that I'm also setting an example for her, right? She's going to grow up and also know that mama has to work, and mama is doing things because she's trying to achieve things, and hopefully I'm going to impart that on her as she grows up and is going to be able to pursue things that she wants to chase and have the resilience that she needs in order to succeed.
Indeed. So basically you're becoming a role model for her, even if she's very, very young, but she's still going to remember some bits and pieces and the whole attitude, the whole vibe of how it was in your family. So maybe in 20 years, we're going to have another webinar and your daughter is going to be telling, oh, my first role model was my mom. She was this and that. That would be so great. And honestly, if any of us choose to become a mother, I'm not a mother myself yet, then it would be really lovely to catch up in 20 years and discuss it, just in case, depending on if we have a daughter or son, especially with the son. I think this is going to be a very interesting conversation, because there are a lot of allies that have been very active in the community and speakers for equality and real equity, equality in the society and diversity, that have been the sons of very active and business women. And this is a very nice aspect of what we're doing currently as well. Okay, so we've really delved into that aspect, and I would like to move on a little bit and discuss another aspect of the study that we had about having no role models at all. And I believe Irene has shared a question from the LinkedIn here. Does the study reveal the fact that many people do not have any role models? I believe that, yeah, it does. And actually, I believe that Amina mentioned she didn't have a lot of role models when she was studying her business herself, like internationally. I'm sorry if I'm mistaken. So yes, back to this study. This is what we'd like to highlight as well, obviously, because despite the significance of overall having role models, some individuals lack of them for reasons such as unreliability or lack of representation or insufficient knowledge about them. And around 12% of respondents actually stated that there have been no influential role models during their entrepreneurial journey, and with many believing that others might not relate to their challenges. So yes, representation really does matter in all the societies and all the groups of people. So Anu, what do you think about that? Having no role models or feeling lack of representation to actually being considered a role model?
Yeah, I think this perception could be attributed to several factors. Firstly, I think the lack of visibility of diverse role models may contribute to this perception. If there is a limited representation of entrepreneurs from various backgrounds in mainstream media or public platforms, social media, individuals might struggle to actually find these relatable figures and role models who have faced similar challenges which someone is going through. Secondly, I think the entrepreneur journey can be unique and challenging for every individual person. And the absence of open discussions about failures and setbacks may contribute to a sense of isolation. When inspiring entrepreneurs perceive a lack of relatable stories, they might feel that their experiences are not shared or understood by others. Lastly, I think the most important point is that the fear of vulnerability and the stigma around admitting challenges in the entrepreneurial world might discourage some individuals from openly discussing their journeys. This could create a perception that others are not facing similar struggles, maybe. But I think as a community, as an ecosystem, it's essential to highlight diverse stories and challenges, like we have been doing from past couple of minutes with experience of Katerina. I myself, by the way, a mom, and my elder one is 12 and my younger one is 10 years old. And building a company along with your kids is no doubt a challenging target, but very fulfilling. And no doubt that your kids are actually looking at you as a role model first.
Yeah, thank you so much. I absolutely agree with you. Also, this is very interesting that being a startup founder or being an entrepreneur in general always is being considered as a full-time job. Honestly, obviously it is, but at the same time, sometimes there is lack of perception. Actually, you're not standing there alone. You always have support of your team or your co-founders. And honestly, a single person cannot manage to do everything at the same time. So this is one of the aspects of the journey, especially in the entrepreneurial journey, that we can share with each other, and to say this is okay not to know answer to every aspect of what you're doing at the moment, and to seek support in terms of specific services or specific knowledge aspects of what you do. And being more honest and being open about this actually can support yourself and to make it easier for the generations to come and new entrepreneurs that are going to enter the market. I totally agree with you. Yeah, so actually, in addition to this, a significant factor of the whole story of having no role models is actually the lack of awareness regarding potential role models. So what do you think about this, Elina, about visibility of possible role models in our journey?
Yeah, I think like it's really great to identify different terminology, because when we're talking about role model, we can actually think about different figures. Like having some kind of figure as Elon Musk is one thing. Having a woman who is helping you actively is more like a mentor, but she still can be a role model. Or your peer founders and other women who are going through a similar journey, they can be role models because their experience is very applicable and relatable to what you're going through. So, and I think all of this is important. And when it comes to, I was thinking about, while other speakers were telling about their experience and journey, I was thinking about how like big star role models sometimes can be demotivating, because you can see a bright figure of a mother of 5 children, an amazing entrepreneur, a boss lady, and you can think it's kind of like a Photoshop, unrealistic image of a very powerful person, but you don't know what's happening in her real life. And for some women, and sometimes I catch myself on these feelings as well, like it's I cannot keep up. I cannot go from a similar journey. Sometimes it's like demotivates me for considering like having kids, for example, because how can I be doing this and that? Because this is for some super women. So bringing back the reality part in the whole concept of role model, I think it's very important. Like taking them off the pedestal. So, and realizing that while they're great people with great achievements, and we celebrate them for the path that they've been through, but at the same time, we see them as real people with real challenges that they overcome. And that link between a big vision and reality, I think it's very important, because only in this case, you can actually see what's the path, like what's the next 3 steps that you can take in order to become something that you are desire to be. So I think it's quite important to talk about challenges that you're having and how you overcome them, what support you're getting. Also, when we're talking about children, for example, I see so many women with many children doing great, like pursuing their career goals and doing great in this field as well. And I think it's more important about what state of mental health you are in, rather than how many children do you have. Because you can have non-children and you have a depression and you were afraid of going and asking for support, or just speaking up about that, because you can think that it's maybe considered as a flaw or some kind of a trait that is not for, you know, like super people, superstar people. But and at the same time, you can have 5 children and you can be in a perfect mental state, and it's way more important to be vulnerable, to speak up about the real path that you're going through and what is behind their polished picture.
I cannot agree with you more. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Do you agree? Yes, Anna Maria, one of these reasons. Why do people do not really have any role models?
I think it's a little bit connected with what our colleague said, that people probably don't even think of it. Someone asked me once, like, who is your mentor? And then years ago, I said, I don't have any mentor. Like, nobody's mentoring me. And it's not actually someone mentoring me, like I'm going to school or, you know, meeting that person every week or having that phone call, because that's what I thought, you know, when someone said, who is your mentor? Like, who is mentoring you? But actually, so many people mentor me every day at work. So many people mentored me throughout my career. I remember when I was an intern, someone told me something very, very strong. They said that work and life and everything is like a picture, and you have to be in those moments when the picture is being taken. So you could go to the wedding, you know, and be there, but if you don't talk to anyone and whatever, and then when the picture is taken, you're not there, nobody will remember you in 10 years. So they were trying to tell me, like, when you're in meetings, no matter what your role is, if you have something to say it. You know, if you have something to contribute, someone will do that. So that's mentoring, right? But I never thought of it as mentoring. It's just like, oh, okay, this person is giving me advice, next. And so I built, I guess, my character and who I am. And, you know, I got to the positions I got to because of these mentors and role models that I never actually even considered. So I apologize to all of them, but I do consider them now. And looking back and, then talking to people about this topic. And then one day I said, I need to have a mentor because everybody was telling me they have a mentor. So it became like I need to have an MBA, because everybody has one. And then I realized actually I have mentors, like all these people that I call when I'm sad or if I change jobs or I don't know what I want to do in my life. These are my mentors. And then I said, actually, now I have a lot of mentors. So I think that's what people are thinking. They're thinking, oh, I don't have mentors, or it's like a job to get a mentor. And it's good perhaps to actually have few people that you talk to all the time because you get lost. But we do that anyway. It's just that we don't recognize them maybe. So that's at least my take on this.
I absolutely agree with you. And honestly, sometimes I think our perception of what is actually considered a role model is a bit too loaded in a sense, because sometimes we tend to say that, okay, Elon Musk, for instance, we mentioned him so many times today, he's really a superstar. He's a role model, obviously, he has a very successful business, few of those, but at the same time, he has 11 kids. I just Googled it. So we don't really talk about him in perception of him being a parent if you don't follow the gossip media or something like this, but he actually has 11 kids with obviously different mothers, but still. So this is one of the aspects of possible role models that we don't talk about, but actually we have to have this 360 degrees idea of what the person is. And sometimes the best role models is actually your colleague from the previous job that has the best work ethic, and she's very persistent in terms of keeping herself on track of achieving her dreams and her goals. Or it can be a friend, a childhood friend that has switched his or her career throughout her life and decided to do something that he was very passionate about before. And this can be considered a role model in a sense, depending where you are and what stage of the business or your entrepreneurial journey overall. So I agree with you that actually when we think about role models, we can actually bring more people, consider it to be our mentors or our advisors or role models than we usually think about when we are asked actually about the role models. And we usually tend to name some very grand names that we have mentioned today, but actually there's so many unnamed and very private people that can be considered our role models. And I have such examples in my life as well. Okay, so now we're going to move to the very interesting topic, and I'm so interested in what you're going to share with us today, because this is very fresh and very in the moment aspect of fake equality. And the topic is that the growing focus on diversity in both corporate and startup agendas is a positive trend, and we see it now. This is very nice to happen, actually. And many companies are publicly sharing these strategies they have, signaling a commitment to creating more inclusive workplaces. However, the Women in Tech recent report sheds light on a significant gap between shared intentions and actual actions. While 66% of respondents feel empowered to pursue leadership positions, only 53% believe that their workplaces are taking appropriate measures to combat gender inequality. And this suggests that despite verbal commitments to diversity and inclusivity, there is a disparity in the implementation of effective initiatives. And let's discuss a recent case of fake equality at the Dev Tenity event. Just to remind you, this is a global event, or more like this was a global event, where organizers were accused of creating fake female profiles of speakers to attract high-profile participants. Two of the three advertised female speakers, here on the screen, were found to be non-existent, leading to the swift withdrawal of key speakers from prominent companies and the eventual cancellation of the event. And now, I want each of our speakers to give a note on this situation and share your personal examples of fake equality if you have experienced that in your careers. So would you start with Elina?
I would say from a personal experience, I was thinking about this when I got the questions. And in my case, I think I'm fundraising now. And as a female founder, we all know the stats and the odds are against me. And also I'm raising for a femtech company. And I often got questions like, why are you building something that only half of the population needs? Like if it's only for women, why bother? So, and when it comes to fake equality, at the same time, people who, I don't know, like other founders, predominantly male founders, or investors, they say that, why don't you go to a female-focused funds, because there are plenty of them, and now it's such a great time for female founders to raise, because you have this fund which is dedicated to just female founders and that. But at the same time, when we look at them, they usually are very small funds with 20-30 million to deploy throughout several years, and it's a micro fund, and they have a lot of publicity because everybody's talking about how it's great actions and steps towards overcoming inequality in fundraising space. And it gives this perception of female funders have plenty of opportunities to raise their business institutions, while it's not the case, because everybody is going there, and the pipeline is extraordinary. And at the same time, it can be even way bigger than a pipeline for 300 million fund, just because of all publicity and articles at TechCrunch and so on. I would say this, I can like name this as an example of fake equality.
Yeah, I believe the last data about the actual female leaders in VC is that only 2% of the roles that actually require making the decision about the investments are held by female leaders, and 98% are led by male founders or general managers, etc. And in terms of founders, actually around 5% of the whole number of the startup founders are female. And honestly, this question about why you're doing something that only half of the population is going to be using, considering there are more than 7 billion of people in the world, this is a very interesting question. And I'm sorry that you have to answer these questions, and that these questions are still asked in the 21st century, in the year 2023. Yeah, so yeah, this is a fantastic example. Thank you so much. And obviously, good luck on your fundraising journey. So, Katarina, to you, could you share your experience with the fake equality, if you had experience with that? Thank you.
Sure. So, I mean, mine probably a little bit more personal in the sense that it wasn't around funding, but I think it's still a pretty good example of how people think versus how they behave. So, a while back, I walked into a meeting that I had set up with some, let's just say, senior executives and some government representatives, where we agreed to a round of introductions to come in first. And it was 3 men and me. And the men proceeded to introduce themselves in the round. They were all self-proclaimed progressives when it comes to female empowerment. And anyway, so they proceeded to introduce themselves and then skipped me and launched straight into the meeting without providing me an opportunity at all to introduce myself, or why I was even present, or why the meeting was called. This went on for about 1 hour and 20 minutes. And during the meeting, there was this is the reason this is relevant. It's during the meeting, there was numerous mentions of praise of diversity in our team, you know, how they're such big fans of women in tech and how we need more equality in this regard, and obviously completely not realizing their massive blind spots themselves. I think when I then, after a small lull in the conversation, pointed out that perhaps I should take this opportunity to introduce myself, they almost fell off their chairs, you know. Which was a little bit funny, but also not. You know, similarly, I think examples of walking up to senior executives at a conference, for example, affects a very different response when I'm accompanied by a male business partner, for example. Those sorts of examples is really the kinds of incidences that I have seen, you know, where really there is just a very obvious bias. I think that this probably is rooted in not having education, or sort of I want to say, skin in the game, right, for the individuals that perpetuate this in a way, because it really only affects us as women. And I think we all very supportive of each other, and we talk about this, and we respect each other in this regard and in the business environment. But I think really the key change needs to be coming by our fellow male counterparts who just need to practice awareness, just like any other equalities that there are, right? There needs to be an opportunity for education and understanding of the impact that this behavior has. And so, yeah, that's really my contribution to this particular topic. And I wonder whether this individual who decided to fake these profiles at this conference has actually ever had a conversation with anybody such as yourselves, for example, to understand the kinds of realities and the kind of impact that this has. Because, I mean, the last thing I think any of us want to be is a diversity hire.
I couldn't agree with you more. And all the things that you mentioned, they sound so familiar, honestly. And the thing about this meeting would be a hilarious anecdote if it wasn't so true and wasn't happening so many times and still happening. And I would just really love to share with you the comments from the chat, because it's actually a male commenter, I believe, that mentioned that many men have female role models for their greater approach. And he elaborated that he admires his mother as a role model and many more women who achieved both in family and business. And this is actually something that men could possibly not achieve and bring the same starting point. And thank you. I do agree with you at this, because honestly, some things that women can do as primarily being the first caregivers to the families or to the elders in their families or to the children, being very successful in their careers at the same time, is something that mostly we see described as female figures. Though, of course, there's some examples of male that are being seen as representatives, in a sense, being successful within their career and within their personal and family life. But usually, as we discussed today, women are praised for having both, and male figures are just considered great leaders. And again, Elon Musk have 11 kids, and nobody talks about it. Sorry, this is my personal point of view here. So moving on, please, Anum, share your insights and your attitudes toward the fake equality, if you have experienced that yourself in your career. I'm sorry, you're muted. Sorry, Anum.
My apologies. I hope you can hear me now.
Yes.
So yeah, I think I can very much relate to Catherine, because I've been through kind of similar journey and similar instances. It's seriously disheartening to hear such cases, as they undermine the principles of diversity and equality that events like Devternity should uphold. During my journey, when I started my e-commerce journey, I used to be the only female on such conferences and roundtable discussions, and my male colleagues who were running their e-commerce stores, and they used to look at me like, why the dash 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 I'm here? What am I doing on this table? Sometimes I felt like they ignored me, like I'm not present even on the table. They don't actually care to listen about my perception, because they think this industry is for them only. So I've been through such kind of instances back in 2012, 2013. But now things have changed. We have a lot of e-commerce role models in our country and in other countries as well. And they have realized with time that I am doing e-commerce because I know how to run a business, and I know e-commerce. That's why I'm doing this. And what I'm saying is something worth it, which is something you don't only know. I can also understand the paradigm of the e-commerce industry. So things have changed now. But one more thing which I faced, me and my other colleagues, female colleagues, have been very much vocal. We were loudly calling out males. I mean, there were conferences where we can only see male faces. although we have indicated them that for this particular topic, for this particular area, we have such and such females available in our country who can be a part of this panel, but still we used to actually call them out. But fortunately, things are changing very slowly, but at least they are changing. We have created a list of pro women in all the industries, like from e-commerce to education to software development, ed tech, health tech, and you name it. We have created a list with the support of male allies. Fortunately, we have male allies around us who helped us create that list. Now we share the list every time with the conference organizer to look for female speakers. They don't bother to design their panels on themselves to have inclusive panelist list of panelists. We need to push them every single time. Even in this year 2023, we have to push them, and we have to make them realize that, hey, there are female speakers available for this topic. You need to include them. And then they try to make sort of, again, a fake equality kind of example that, okay, we are going to be an inclusive conference. We have included one female speaker against 6 male speakers. So they talk about it like, wow, they have done something very exclusive and something very out of the box. So yeah, that's been my experience so far. And I think we need to rapidly change, but with the help of male allies. Alone, we can't do much. We need to have male allies with us who can call out such events and such conferences.
I absolutely agree with you. And also there is one comment in our chat that actually agrees with you a lot. Noshin Paracha, I hope I've pronounced it correctly. And she's also from Pakistan. And yeah, I think this is going to be a very interesting communication for you later on. If you could actually connect on LinkedIn on this chat later. Yes, and I agree with you that there are so many bubbles and bubbles of perception that a lot of organizers have, and a lot of people with different types of platforms, actually, with communities, with conferences, with hiring managers. And we have to really remind them about inclusivity every single time, which can be quite tiring experience, but at the same time, quite necessary at this moment. So, Anna Maria, back to you. Could you please share your experience with fake equality, if you had any, and what is your perception of the topic?
I would actually agree with a lot of these different stories, because I've seen a lot of them, especially in the panels, even in events that I organized. I mean, I was not, let's say, the leader organizer at the time, but part of teams. We would always say like, oh, there is no woman in this panel. Okay, let's put someone. Okay, maybe put the moderator because that's easy to find. Let's put this girl. It's fine. You know, like really thinking of that, or like, oh, let's put this woman actually because she's from this region, and that's going to be better because it's going to look better on the flyer. You know, it's going to look like we're very kind of pushing for this or that. So these discussions are real. So you're sitting there, and if you don't really reflect on them, and I guess if you don't surround yourself with others that will tell you this is not okay, you start thinking like, okay, it's okay. And then when you do your own event, you start thinking the same, right? So if you are in a room with, everyone thinking like that, and I've been in rooms with other women that also thought it was fine to put one moderator from, so and so country, that it looks kind of diverse, and then it's all good for the panel. But I try to use this fake equality to my advantage, or however that is. Sometimes I'm put in panels because they think I'm from like Albania and I'm in tech and in VC, and this is very strange, and I live in Switzerland, so like, yeah, let's put her there. And I always then lead this panel saying this, like, I'm here just for the number, and like, what happened to the other women, and why do we have only men on the panel? So trying to make it kind of funny, but at the same time, just reminding everyone in the audience that this is not okay. And then you can actually see people in the audience raising their hands and asking questions to the panelists, and then saying, actually, can we hear from the moderator? Because, it's all guys. So actually, we want to hear a woman's perspective. So this is kind of, I think, how we can use it in another way. But sometimes you fall into the trap, I think, and sometimes you don't really think. You have to make it a point, basically. You have to make it a point every time, everywhere, especially in this conference world. And the other thing that I see a lot is this oh, let's put the women in like this women forum, and then it's only women in the panels, and then they can all talk with each other like we're some sort of, like aliens, and we're just gonna go into a little corner and talk to each other. This is not at all the case, because the women business owners are having lots of male business owners as their clients, right? So what is this, putting on the side? And femtech is something like that I've seen more and more. There's like femtech accelerators, femtech events for women in this business. And I'm like, but this is not only women, yeah, it's products for women, but doesn't mean only women have to come to these events. So it's something really that we have to make a point, and it's hard sometimes, I know, and sometimes people forget about it, and sometimes it's just easy to put, anyone in the panel just to close the panel because the event is coming up, and not really struggle hard. And the other thing with fake equality is sometimes then you put the usual women that I've seen in the same events over and over again being in the other events as well. So sometimes you're not looking for those women experts, right? So let's say you see me here, and then I did 10 events, I moderated. People say, okay, she's good at moderating. So I fall into that bracket. Now they're just going to hire me to do all these moderations, and I'm not the expert in any of that. And then it looks like actually there's no women experts, because it's just this girl that is not really an expert, and she's been put there. So this is something also that we have to think about. And sometimes in some events we did that, and it's not good. And in events that we actually really put an effort to look for the right people, then it was much more successful and much more real and better for everyone. But it takes a lot of effort. So it's something like we have to just keep kind of repeating to everyone. And it's our job also at work. Now I have, for example, teams of people, and I had a lot of interns and junior people in my teams. And I always try to say this all the time, and then I sound like these people that, are making the same point. But if you don't make it, then you forget it. And then it becomes normal, and then you become like the people you don't want to be, and then it's done. So
yeah, actually, I do agree with you so much. I'm also from Balkan. I'm Croatian, and I live in London, and I have this type of sense of representing my own community in a sense when I'm asked to go to different events, as all of us do, I believe. So just adding up to this topic of fake equality experiences with that, Amina, back to you. Could you please share your experience, please?
So, okay, thank you. So I'm agree about all what ladies said before. In Algeria, some years ago, the women haven't really placed in tech and in business owner and all this. When we see developer or engineering, we imagine a man behind his screen, and women led for more artisanal profession. So I agree with all that. But now in Algeria we leave much more place for women. I just want to talk about, for me, the fake equality is in raising fund. We see in Algeria really it's not. It's really not equitable between women and men. Women raised more less than men. Then so why we want to we want to why this difference between men and women? I don't know if all the region in the world it's same problem, but really I want to talk about this point because it's very important, and we must find solution for this problem. Maybe to create in funds especially for women to let her grow because now in Algeria it's really a problem. I think in all Africa it's women are significantly less financed than men. So this is the point that I want to talk about in fake equality.
It is very true. And also, I would love to share some comments that we also have in the chat here, that there are different type of microaggression attack. Couldn't agree more. For example, being interrupted or talked over in the meetings is the biggest issue based on Deloitte research, and we can see the screenshot of the study there. So fellow speakers and listeners, you can check it out in the link in the comment section as well. And to wrap it up a little bit, thank you so much for sharing, ladies. And these were disappointing but very interesting examples that you shared with us today. And in navigating these challenges posed by fake equality, it becomes imperative, I believe, that we have to deliberate on effective strategies and what we can both do and address and combat this pervasive issue. While education, collaboration, and verification are essential components, especially when going about public events such as conferences. A comprehensive strategy often involves a multifaceted approach. And I would like to give a speech to you ladies, starting with Anum here. What other strategies can we follow as society, as a community, to actually fight fake equality?
I think to address fake quality, we need a comprehensive strategy that actually involves not only education, but verification and proactive measures. Firstly, I think we need to invest in educational initiatives to raise awareness about genuine equality and inclusion, providing resources and training programs which can help individuals and organizations understand and embrace these principles, and can actually help us create a list of pale allies. On the verification side, I think it's important to have it's really important to establish a kind of transparent policies with respect to speaker selection and representation. Conducting independent audits ensures actually accountability and the authenticity in claims related to equality. And I think AI technology can play a great role because data can help us track diversity measures very easily. Community engagement is super important. We need open dialogues like we are doing right now within communities and platforms for individuals to share their experiences. And I think community-led oversight or advisory boards can monitor and address equality issues effectively, because it's not an individual's responsibility to call out every single time. Also, incorporating inclusive policies at all levels, not only at the conference level, but at all levels is essential. If we go for zero tolerance policy, for instance, for fake equality, should be communicated clearly. Collaboration with advocacy groups and industries can bring diverse perspectives and collective solutions, I think. And in my opinion, it's not once-off task. Continuous evaluation and improvement are key in that case. Regularly reviewing and updating policies, learning from mistakes, and adopting to evolving standards will actually contribute to a genuine commitment to equality. Ultimately, I think it's about creating an environment where equality is not just a checkbox, but actually a fundamental principle which is accepted and embraced by all. So that's from my side.
Thank you so much. Couldn't agree more. Anna Maria, could you please follow up with your ideas and your vision?
How can I follow after Anum with his beautiful comments that she made? So I totally agree, absolutely in line. And I think just maybe to add one on that, because I think that was such a beautiful way to bring that big picture and that at the global level. But for me, of course, everything starts at home. So it's something very, very important that everyone should take into account. Sometimes it's when you're raising your kids, or maybe with your boyfriend, girlfriend, family members. Sometimes you're saying things, or you're not really thinking about these things through, right? We're sitting all together, making jokes and talking about each other's lives. And those things are the ones that are going to make the children who they become as adults tomorrow. So if you're sitting and having a chat with your friends at home, and then your kids are there, try to think about this as well, because if they are hearing that you cannot do this, or because I'm a woman, or you are a man, or these kind of things, simple things, it will stay in their mind, and then they will go in the playground and they will bring those things out there. So it's really important, to really do that. It's a big task, of course, but it's something to keep in mind. I think sometimes it's so easy to achieve it, but we just forget and we slip into the usual. And then we make, sometimes the language is so important, right? The language we use and how we use words is so important to what we mean. And I would say really start at home. This is something easy, everybody can do it, and simple, and then bring that thing out there in the workspace and at events and with friends and things like that. So that's what I would follow up very humbly from the beautiful point of Anum.
Oh, this is actually perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you, Anna-Marie. Amina, I think it's going to be a bit challenging as we move past all the speakers, but still, please do share your opinion on the topic. You're muted. Perfect.
Yeah, about kids and the entrepreneurial journey for women. So my experience, I start my business 2 months after having my second kids. So so I have 2 kids, 8 and 2, and I start my business and I say it's my third kids 2 months after, and it's difficult sometimes. It's really difficult, but I can find an équilibre between my personal life and professional life. But it's like that. I can't change it, and I do with it. And I work sometimes very hard after they sleep at night, and the day one day in nurseries and schools, and I take always from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. This time I disconnect from work and I put it all with my my child to make dinner and having a real family life. But all the time in starting business, the 2 years I start my business 3 years ago. So I'm also in a very period who take me a lot of time. So I do what I want every time. Voilà.
Thank you so much, Amina. And Elina, now back to you about the measures that we address and create for more sustainable approach towards real equality instead of fake equality.
I think, like, based on my experience, it's we shouldn't be afraid of bringing up these topics and talking about that more, being a part of women in tech and other female-oriented communities, because sometimes we're being asked, like, why? What else do you need if there's already equality and all other things that kind of like goes against even like basic statistics. And I think peer-to-peer support is very important. I've been receiving so much support from other female founders and people in the communities. And before that, during centuries, women were faced so many artificially built boundaries and obstacles. And now when we are talking about, like, it's time finally to build opportunities instead of boundaries, we've been asked so many questions like, well, no, don't do that. Let's just keep things as they are, and don't bring it up, don't speak up about all of that. So I think we shouldn't be ashamed and afraid about talking about that and supporting each other, because it's the only way to actually, like, bring the stigma and take real actionable steps forward.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Elina. And Katharina, could you please add to this conversation?
I'm not sure if there's all that much left to add. I think everybody's had really valuable contributions to this particular discussion. I think, you know, this kind of behavior is obviously problematic within our business environment. And as I mentioned earlier, I really believe the root cause of this sort of thing is likely, you know, whilst we support each other, our male counterparts are struggling to get access to the education required to be able to affect true change in this regard, right? So I think it's a fragile space on top of it for men in the global context at this particular time as well. And I really think that, yeah, this is just an opportunity for us to run ahead and make sure that we don't punish when those opportunities arise, to be able to help individuals grow in this regard, right? We should call them out. We should say when these things happen, we should, support each other. We should probably, figure out to find, more forums like this where we discuss how we can potentially address this, invite relevant individuals that can help us and be, how do you call this, an advocate, somebody who's your champion that's running with this. And I think it would be great if we could get male counterparts to run with that flag for us, and to also encourage their fellow colleagues to recognize these instances when they occur and then stop them in the tracks. I think that's really all that I have to add. I think everybody else has really exhausted all the great opportunities that we have here to be able to retrain people.
Thank you so much. I couldn't agree more with every one of you, and I would also like to share one of the comments we received in the chat, that we also have to work with top events managers. We could not make it as a startup to Web Summit this year from Grace. And yes, regarding the Web Summit, I believe that it's going to be more inclusive in coming years. Me and Catherine actually met during the Web Summit this year, waiting for the presentation from the new CEO, Catherine. And I believe her vision, and being a female entrepreneur herself, she's going to be more consistent and more present in terms of bringing the agenda of female leaders and women in tech to the broader audiences. And obviously, Web Summit is one of the biggest platforms there is. So thank you once again for the contributors in the chat and for our speakers. I believe that together we really can amplify our impact and drive a cultural shift towards entrepreneurial equality. And as a Global Alliance, we are committed to developing the Equality Guide in collaboration with all of you and other inspired leaders and partners. And our main objective here is to unite related stakeholders, allies, and advocates from both genders, all the genders, and to bridge the gap between tensions and reality. So we encourage everyone to actively participate in creating and promoting the implementation of this guide within accelerators, venture funds, government institutions, etc. And on this note, I would really love to thank all of you for your input and for your time, and for sharing your personal experiences with us today in this discussion on the impact of role models and the strategies that our community needs to implement while addressing fake equality. And with all the participants, we're going to share the document, articles, and white papers that we will develop. So please stay tuned, apply to participate in our community. The link is in the chat below. And we will continue talking with each other and stay in touch with each other in emails and in LinkedIn. And thank you all the speakers, for your active participation. We appreciate everybody joining this webinar. And let's definitely stay in touch. Don't forget to follow our LinkedIn page, which you can find in the chat, and stay actively involved for our upcoming events that we're going to have this season and later next year. And we wish you a pleasant day and look forward to seeing you soon. It was really my great pleasure. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your participation.